Hey guys, Nathan here, better known online as BlackRain79. One of the most common situations I get asked about by far is overpair situations. I mean, they're tricky spots. I mean, there's not a lot of clear, cut and dried answers, I guess, to what to do in a lot of these situations. So, I mean, that's why people have so much trouble with them. I definitely haven't mastered these situations. I don't think there's anybody out there who can say that they can, unless you can see your opponent's hole cards somehow. But I mean, I think there's definitely some general ideas that we can keep in mind with player types, flop texture, things like that can guide our decisions a little bit. So I figured I'd just create a couple situations here and just go through them and explain kind of my thought processes. So. Well, let's get started. First situation, we got aces. Flop's pretty nasty. It comes down 9, 6, 7, 2 spades, which we don't have a suit of. Um, we c-bet. Just a quick thing. I'm just going to assume that there's just one opponent in both of these examples. The things definitely do change if there's two or more opponents, but just for the purposes of this video, just one opponent. So we c-bet and we get raised by a net. What should you do in this spot here? Well, my answer is you should fold a lot of the time. And then, there's a bunch of reasons for that. I mean, the first reason is nits are passive. Not all nits are passive. There's definitely a lot of aggro nits out there, but I would say on the whole, nits are a little bit more passive than tags, and they're not quite as passive as fish, but they're pretty passive overall. And basically, what that means, of course, is they're not going to raise you normally as a without something like really good. They're not going to raise like pocket tens here or something that often. They're just going to call with that hand. Um, and I don't think there's a whole lot of big pairs in the range of a nit here. I think most nits will three bet a lot of their bigger pairs, like if they had kings, queens, perhaps even jacks. I think that they probably would three bet pre-flop, so I don't expect to be up against those kind of hands a lot. And like I said, I don't expect those hands to really raise a whole lot in this situation. I expect those hands to just call a lot on the flop and just kind of become calling stations throughout the rest of the hand. I think one of the biggest factors in this hand really is just the board itself, the texture, whatever you want to call it. This kind of board just smacks their range. Gotta always remember when somebody's calling a raise pre-flop, their perceived range is always going to be cards that are like middle pairs, small pairs, some suited connectors, suited aces, and stuff like that. Not so much with a nit. Most of the time when you get called by a nit, their range is going to be very pair heavy, I guess you would say. Um, so I mean, this is I mean, we absolutely expect the nit to have hands like nines, sixes, sevens, and pocket eights, which has quite a bit of equity, anyways. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential sets. There's a lot of potential draws, big draws. Like I said, I don't think the net's going to be have any kind of combo draw very often because I think they're mostly going to have pairs in their range here. So they're not going to have a hand, for instance, like 9-8 or something here. But it is possible, and I don't know what the math is with 9-8 compared to aces here, but it's probably something close to a flip. I'm not sure. So with a board like this, it's there's just a lot of different things that they can potentially have. But I mean, with that said, position definitely does matter in a spot like this. I'm going to be much more inclined to fold here if I'm out of position, and the reason for that is because um, you've always got to look at a hand sort of as the in the not really long term view, but just look at the hand as a whole and consider what's going to happen on the turn and stuff like that. So, if we bet and then call the flop, we're going to have to face a bet a lot of times on the turn, and we're kind of just going to be playing the guessing game throughout the hand. Whereas if we're in position here, I think it's a little bit different because we're going to get to decide what we want to do on the turn. He's going to have to make his decision first. And if he is on some sort of bluff, or even if he is raising with a pocket tens or something type hand here, I think that they're going to be they're going to be less inclined to kind of continue with that out of position on the turn. Whereas in position, I think they're going to, we're probably going to check a lot on the turn, and they're going to see that weakness and maybe fire again. So, I mean, position kind of matters in almost every hand, but I think in a spot like this, it's on when you're out of position, it's almost just like calling the flop here is almost just like a money pit. Um, you just always got to remember that it's just going to be difficult to win hands when you're out of position. If you're going to give up, you definitely should do it more when you're out of position rather than in position. But even in position here, I think I would fold to a nit most of the time. You just got to remember it's one pair. It's one pair. And nits are passive, tight, and this flop smacks the range. And I guess lastly, it's kind of a minimal point, a small point. We don't have many redraws. I mean, if you even had the ace of spades or something in your hand here, it matters a little bit. We're going to backdoor the flush 1 in 20 times or whatever there. But I think that's enough for this hand. I'm just going to move on to the next one here. So in this situation, we got the exact same hand, but the board's a lot different. And the opponent is also different. The opponent's a fish. So what should you do here? Okay, this is the same situation. So you c-bet and get raised by a fish. I said re-raise here. I think re-raise is fine. I think calling is fine as well. I guess I should have put that in there. And I'll explain why in a sec. But I guess the points here, fish are passive too, but there's a big but there. This board is a lot different. Also, there's let's talk about the board actually first. I mean, 4-4-6. I mean, there's no flush draw out there. There's not a lot of straight draws. There's just not a lot for him to have. There's only for actual made hands that are ahead of us, I mean, there's literally pocket sixes and quads. I mean, I guess a fish can have a 4x type hand in his range from time to time. They definitely can, but it's pretty rare. And also with fish, there's a lot better chance that they have a big pair in their range than I think with a nit. I think fish are less inclined to 3-bet preflop. They definitely can have a hand like queens or kings or even we've got aces. It's kind of hard for them to have aces, but they can definitely have a big pair. I think a lot more in their range here, and also they can have fish definitely overvalue smaller overpairs here as well. Whereas I said in the previous hand that I think a lot of times a nit will maybe just call the flop there with pocket tens or something. I think a fish is definitely more likely to overvalue a hand like pocket tens or nines, and there's just more of them. I mean, you can have eights, sevens as well. We already talked about the flop is hard to hit. So yeah, I mean, position doesn't matter quite so much in this hand because it's kind of a spot where I'm just not really ever thinking about getting away. So really, it's just more of a question of how can I best get the money in here. So whatever, I mean, that definitely comes down to how aggressive or passive this player is. But I guess generally, I mean, if they're a really aggressive player, I would tend to be more inclined, I guess, to just call the flop and let them put in a lot of dead money on the turn. I mean, there's really no cards that I'm afraid of. Whereas against the kind of general, kind of just unknown type player or kind of relatively passive fish, I'd probably just re-raise a fair bit here. And yeah, I mean, just ship the money. I think that that if you're not getting playing a huge pot in this situation, I think that you're throwing away money in the long term. I think that you can't sit there and focus on the one time you got beat where you get all the money in here and he turns over 7-4 or something like that. It's going to happen from time to time, but poker is a long run game. We're not playing it for this specific hand or that specific hand. We're in this for the long run, and I think in the long run here you've got a huge level of positive expectation by playing a huge pot here with your aces. So with that said, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope this video was useful to you guys. I definitely plan on making more of these in the future. I think it's a pretty good format. And yeah, just thanks a lot for all the support on my blog and everywhere else. And I will talk to you guys later.